Right about!
Observe the results of your vote. We've got federal soldiers coming off the federal cavalry and garnishing with the Virginia cavalry. How a battle begins, the soldiers skirmishing together. Their job simply keep the army in the dark as it were, keeping them pushed back, making sure they can't get a good view of the enemy's lines and what's occurring.
Lauren!
Mueller tried to shoot you in the back. I got you.
Daddy shoot the end of
That was paint fire. He tried to shoot you in the back? He did. What a dirty dog. Really? He wants you widowed real bad, girl.
John, anybody got a saber?
I got one.
Draw your saber and go forward.
Okay.
Jam. Go forward, Muhammad. Hit him fast.
Go get him, boy!
We only got one saber.
Don't move back!
We only have one saber. I'll shoot you. Get him, Shanti. He's done. You're done. No, he's ugly. He smells funny, too. In the back. In the back, you guys got something.
Yes, we're actually the forest right here at the fence line. If I'm not mistaken, those are a group of Irish immigrants. The Irish Jasper Greens taking shelter on the fence line.
Hey, we're gonna, Brittany and Kate, since you're on that side, you guys go forward. Let's see, I'm kinda Dawn's engaged. Drop this way.
Looks as though we have some natives out over that way in their white uniforms. I've heard tell there was a ship local, so they must have brought some of their field guns, or some of their pieces off their ship and converted them to field guns. Soldiers have some green on them. If I'm not mistaken, those are some Verdun sharpshooters racing off with the Virginian cab over them. The Virginians, at far distance, they've dismounted, preserving horseback and fighting in on foot. But if you notice the trim on their uniforms, you'll notice that yellow trim on the uniforms. Notice them, cavalry soldiers. Look close to the front, find us something from a street here. Notice how they have the instruments up on the hook.
Let the ball! My goodness, Sam.
Cover the inside here close to the gun, and simply kind of look at it sideways. That allows the construction blast to go over it rather than into it.
Let the ball! Maybe.
Horsemen are making great use of one of the new advancements in weaponry, that being rotating pistols. Is it not incredible? For the first time in history, a soldier can fire more than one time without reloading. The standard weapon, the standard repeating pistol, as it were, is the Colt revolver. 6 shots without a need to reload. If not using a Colt, perhaps you might be using Remingtons, the second most popular. Again, 6 shots before the need to reload. The infantry up here at the fence right there, if you notice every shot, then they have to take the time to reload their weapons.
They turn around again.
Right now, with the distance between the lines, lines, the lads are simply taking pot shots at each other as it were. Let the enemy know they're there and they're watching them. Let's see, the distance between the two lines is, what would you say, about 800 yards or so, wouldn't you say that's about right? Distance between there. So at this distance, not many around are expected to make at all. The fortunate thing is, from our vantage point as of right there, it looks a lot closer, doesn't it? That's a great spot that we
We're
have
covered by
there.
trooper. We're going to cover our dismount on the other
So
flank.
they're staying low, staying out, and hopefully out of artillery range. You look over that way about a mile or so, you'll see the artillery trying to track them as it were. So they're able to keep their heads down and move quickly. Makes it difficult for the artillery to get a good shot on them as long as they keep the open order. But in skirmish formation as they're fighting, it's not going to do much if the enemy is fully committed. So they're trying to stay close together, keeping the space, the intervals between to lower the casualty counts. But again, their job right now is just to essentially harass the enemies.
Don't let anything. Get the bell! Retreat! Retreat! Retreat!
Gav's fast in, but also fast out.
Doing that crap! Trying to kill me!
Yeah, you missed.
The eyes and the ears of the
All right, turn it around.
Exploiting and bring forth more soldiers into it. But primarily, they're not a designated combat unit, meaning their sole job is not to just fight the enemy. That would be the infantry, which is now coming up as of right here. Those are, that's 7th South Carolina taking the field off at the far distance from there. Backed up by, see, that's a howitzer over there. I think that's Reese's battery. Lads are all keeping at a distance. Those rounds when they fire, they're firing at roughly 800 to 1,000 feet per second for their average round coming out. And it's usually based on a particular weapon, but I would say the average caliber out there is about a 58 caliber. That's the standard round, if you will. There's probably a number of 54s, some 52s, some 50s, but all of them fairly large lumps of lead that will come flying out. And of course, they're being fired via the use of black powder. Black powder has three primary ingredients. 10% of it is sulfur, smells like rotten eggs. You get a good whiff of that powder, you have that burning sulfur smell. That's that sulfur added to the powder. It lowers the ignition point, making it a more reliable explosion, as it were. Now, flintlock absolutely has to have the sulfur. Technically, these soldiers don't need it, as they're firing percussion cap for the most part. But even still, it makes that more reliable ignition. That's 10% of what the black powder is. 15% is the charcoal, which gives it its black colour, I suppose. The same stuff you might find in your fires, just basic charcoal is all there is to it. 75% of what they're firing, though, is there's something called saltpeter, the chemical element of potassium nitrate. The thought is, for the South, they have need of acquiring that. They get it from the pigeon and the hen-house feed. Basically, bird poop has a high concentration of potassium nitrate. That's southern powder. Union powder, though, they don't have enough to meet the demand of powder that they require. So they have to get their potassium nitrate from another source. So many of you will visit the grain and food buildings around the Ashfield area. You've got chickens with Union powder. Urine has a great amount of potassium nitrate within it. So thus distilling human urine is what Yankee powder is predominantly made out of. So that's the smell of burnt bird poop and other such is essentially what they're firing there. Very effective again. It'll hurl those lead lumps out. The lead lumps over half an inch in size at about 1,000 feet per second. Very, very effective. And if you look close, every soldier upon their back right hip, you'll see a large bag, a cartridge box that contains their ammunition. But upon the front, on the right-hand side, you'll see a much smaller pouch that contains their primers. The percussion cap is what most of these lads are firing. You might find the occasional Confederate still firing a flintlock, weapons from days past, as it were, and they just haven't gotten a new modern weapon. But that percussion cap, it looks like a small little copper top hat of sorts, contained within is a very unstable filament of mercury that detonates upon impact. So thus when the soldier fires, the hammer of his weapon slams down on that percussion cap, detonates it, shoots a red hot spark into that powder within the back of the barrel, and thus hurls out that lump of lead. Very effective. And every one of the weapons here are fully capable of hitting targets 1,000 yards off. The question is the soldier capable of it? Most of these soldiers, like right before us here, it looks as though we have the 14th, let's see, who do we have here? Aye, the 15th Alabama coming on the field right in front of us here. So every weapon they carry is fully capable of hitting a target 1,000 yards away. The question is the soldier capable? For some of these lads, I imagine them to be good hunters, so thus, some of them have some skill, and this is not their first time firing a rifle. But for others, perhaps it is. It is not uncommon for soldiers to be sent on the field of battle, and the first time firing their military weapon, the first time is in combat. Simply, the army does not put great speed in the burning of powder for target practice. It considers, for the most part, a waste of ammunition. So thus, for some of these lads, their first time firing is now, directly in combat with the foe. And you'll hear at times, you'll hear the officers yell at the men to aim low. Because the tendency is, as a soldier goes to shoot, the tendency is to aim much higher than he ought. So thus, the officers yell at the men to aim low, because the tendency is to aim high anyway, and you aim at the knees, well, that puts the bullets right about the chest. But if you aim at the chest and your tendency is to aim high, that round goes 2 or 3 feet over the heads of your foe. I've heard one fella say that for every soldier who goes down, it's like 100 pounds of lead that got thrown at him in the form of cannonball and rifle ball. Some of these lads are firing round smoothbores, just big lumps, essentially marbles of lead. But a good number of them are making use of some of the new inventions. That being a special bullet invented by a Frenchman, Mr. Claude Benet, known as the mini ball. You hear lads call it a mini ball. Not mini at all, of course. It's still over half an inch in size, but it's not just a round ball. It's conical shape. It's got a punch to it, and then comes down to a flat or a hollow base. Makes it quick and easy to reload, and ends up being that the weapon is rifled, ends up making it very accurate as it sends that ball out with a spin. This is the mainline infantry coming in. We've got Confederate command bringing up the rear as of right here. They're pushing the Union line back. The Yankees don't seem to be a hard press though. Seem to be given the ground fairly easily. See what they intend with that. Trying to keep their heads down and over them. Was this time. Oh, facing off with the Alabamans. It looks as though they've got a Chazier to this. Coming in with this bright red pan. That's the 14th Brooklyn, if I'm not mistaken. Determined fighters. First time I saw those fellas take the field. The first encounter that we had, the first large one rather, in a place called Manassas Junction, just over the Bull Run Creek. Those fellas facing off in the Virginian line, under command of a gentleman by Thomas Jackson. Jackson is one. Union trying to take back, charging back and forth over the set of guns. They're only trying to take about 5 times to win up and down that hill. That's the central line, Union line. For those Brooklyn lads. So much so that they end up being called him red-legged devils. Jackson got so tired of those fellas coming at his line, almost breaking his line a few times to die in the side. But Brooklyn is never let you feel the deal. The deal that Manassas, you don't know, they ended up having a great deal of chaos in the line. They still retired in good order. They were one of the few Union regiments keeping it together.
Boy, look how young those
We'll see what Alabama's able to face off with them now. Oh, they're getting nigh within range of that artillery piece. They've got about 700 yards to that piece. That's prime eating time for that artillery. Those cannons will go at a distance for fire 0 to 6, but your fellow cannon will that have a time fuse upon them. the goal being is it flies right to the line and then detonates within the ring. Devastating effect if they can get the range right. That's known as spirit case, a simple case shot. By the name of Henry Shotlow. In fact, the soldiers are taking a call with chunks of cannonballs off that. They take the pulling the shrapnel. They get closer though. When they're within 700 yards, that's 500 yards based on the piece. The artillery crew is likely to hit canister. Imagine a bag of musket balls poured down the barrel quite simply. Usually in the form of a can, actually. But it's shotgun, if you will, with a bore of several inches across. You don't want to be facing that. You really don't want to say what would a double canister. Eventually just throw a sheet of lead at you.
Slow forward march.
Brooklyn thinks they get quite a hitting now.
I have a very good job of coming back and taking him. He's gone.
Hit them.
Go forward, hit him. Get up, you ain't dead. That's a crack. Get up. It's just a flick, dude.
They'll send about every third, they send 3 out of every 4 soldiers forward. The fourth man holds the horses for the others. So no doubt some of the Virginians are back over this way with a whole bunch of horses, waiting for their figures to count. That way you prepare the horses. There's always usually a soldier. Skill and his particular piece, they should be able to get off about, I would say about 3 to 4 shots in a minute's time.
Why is it not fair?
So, ideal on that. But the officer's got to figure out exactly.
You know, it's fun playing your daughter's tactics against her.
With naval supply wagons and reinforcements to come up. So the officers have the option of equipping their men with faster firing guns. Usually they won't do that. Because faster firing guns mean more ammunition means you actually hold the ground for less time. The goal is about keeping the enemy off the field.
Full infantry's on the field now.
Now let's go off in a far distance over there. Not mistaken, I see several colours coming on. He's playing on the opposite flank there, trying to look for a hole in the line.
How's it going? I want to go home. Help me.
Now you figure the difficulty of keeping all these soldiers firing, especially in the Confederate line. They have such a host of different weapons. And again, standard would be the 58 caliber Springfield or the .577 Enfield rifle out of England. That's the standard arm, but again, these soldiers have a whole host of different weapons. So again, you increase the rate of fire. With the proper weapons. Look at these soldiers administering laudanum to the soldiers, made of the flowers of opium, typically mixed in with alcohol.
Exactly run her into nowhere land.
For some reason, the lads finding a flowers of opium to be highly addictive for some reason. There always seems to be wanting more of it. It looks as though the Federal infantry have taken the field.
I had a bunch. I don't know if he's inspired, but I went around. Fuck down, Dad! 15. Screen the retreat of the 15th Alabama. Right here.
dangerous down at the amount of soldiers you have to treat. If the bone is shattered, you have to amputate the bone. You've got to circle alive thousands of splinters perfectly. A mistake will cause you blood to flow and it'll burst the bone inside out. Thus, the only safe way to preserve the soldier's life if the bone is shattered is you have to remove the destructive bone. Pass that on, portion of it, but you got to make certain that you get the entire crop split all the way up the bone to the joint, and you leave a portion of that again with the information that comes from that and the soldier's eyes, therefore. So most oftentimes the application is done a good 6 to 7 inches farther from the back.
Back her up, her the battle, her the major. Pull back.
Now, the soldier only gets a flesh wound, of course, amputation is not needed. But if you're dealing with thousands of soldiers and you're one person, as often the case of many surgeons, amputation fixes everything. Because you have to go through the most amount of soldiers as possible to make sure that you keep as many soldiers alive as possible. Versus doing proper surgery on one soldier where 10 others die. So you'll find the surgeons are very, very quick after amputation. On that note, if you don't have any woodworking skills or any to a butcher, the surgeon will need help after the battle. Likewise, if you're handy with the shovel, I think we're going to be needing a lot of graves here before the day is out. So if you're handy with the shovel or good with a plough, you're going to be wanted as well. We'll be taking a lot of recruits here once the battle is concluded, no doubt.
Yeah. Come over here, I got caps.
So right now, both lines are keeping at a fair distance. They're again about 500 yards, and again, being that most of the time they're going to be firing over the heads, we're not like to see too many casualties. But as they get closer, the closer they get, even a bad soldier will still be able to hit if they get within 100 yards. For some of the lads, if they're firing the old weapons, they're firing a round bow. Again, big giant marbles of lead. In fact, sometimes the lads are given what's called buck and bow. One large bullet, and then 3 buckshots packed in on top of that. Very effective, but short range. You've got to get close enough for that.
Boy, you ain't got nothing I ain't ever seen before.
They're bringing it in.
Boy, you best go back north where you belong. My horse laid down.
Age of most of the soldiers out here is somewhere between 18 to 25. Properly, according to the regulations, it has to be 18 to enlist. But it's not uncommon, I've seen it done myself, that a soldier will simply, or a young boy rather, will write 18 under his shoe, and thus be able to confidently, without lying, tell the recruiting sergeant that yes, he is over 18. And thus you'll see some lads here who are not quite of age. Youngest I've heard of is a drummer boy about 9 years old, or something of that nature. We've seen some of them, some very, very young lads. Then we've seen the other extreme too. See some soldiers looking at goodness. See a veteran of the First Revolution and now fighting again. That has happened as well, both of them. 60s, 70s, and even 80s years old. As they're on occasion.
Look at that, I used to be farming for myself.
Mostly about 18 to 25 years old or so. And for a good majority of them,
Am I okay?
especially for the southern lads, never been more than 4 miles from their birthplace. Now the lad looked to see the very spot where he was born, and his grave would be put again within sight of that. You know, not traveling more than 10 to 20 miles from where he grew up and lived his entire life. And now hundreds of miles from home. Northern soldiers, that's not quite the same on that. They
How's
just have
everybody?
them
What's a bullet count?
towns and working in factories and such as that.
I'm out.
We got enough for about one charge.
9.
We're way outnumbered here, though.
And then we have a curiosity.
If you've got any
Behind
ammo,
the Union
fall
line,
Want me to
that
stay
line
there?
of grey behind him.
Okay.
It's just rather difficult. Preferably, we should have all the Union soldiers in blue, all the Confederate soldiers in red. All sorts of soldiers have different uniforms based on when their particular unit was established. There's some like that. Their official uniform is a dark blue coat with dark blue trousers. Exactly the same colours as several soldiers, even though they're a Virginian soldier or a Confederate. Then you get others, those up in Massachusetts.
Mohammed!
Confederate soldiers, seeing how the Union line is reacting to it. First of all, they get to the rear of the Union line. That is not good for the Yankees, pressed in by both sides. Watch that play. Usually what the balance is a who you're fighting. Cav soldiers love to take on artillery. Slow to load and Cav being slow-footed when artillery starts to push the fifth in. Artillery, they love to fight infantry. Slow-moving, prime targets. Infantry love to take on Cav. Because if they get close enough to it, the infantry can just unload so much lead on them, taking out both soldier and the horse as well. Because the officers are continually trying to balance what they have in the field and who they can fight against.
All right, let's get out. Skedaddle out.
Ready! Aim! Fire! Hey! Stop! Down! Start! Go! I was trying. Company, all safe. Back to independent fire. Fall in on them and fall in right here. Where you're going. Fall in. I got you. Right there. Hey. Virginia, stand. Full ramshackle. Run.
You missed me!
Pressing in on him. At this point, I'm not sure who is leading the battle. Seems the Federal soldiers are pulling off. I think that's 20th Maine. They're retiring in good order, though. They're still holding it together. The Confederacy has not given up much ground at all.
Take it from me. Very poor order. Skedaddle back. Fire. Line up on the gun. Line up on the gun. Go, 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 go. Run, Johnny Reb, run. I'm coming for that
Oh, it
rag,
seems
Johnny
the color
Reb.
sergeant's
My
taking a
arse
hit.
with it.
They're retiring the colors.
Johnny Reb, run with that rag. Shoot that man. Shoot that
Oh,
dismounted.
there's not many of the Confederates left. There's some heavy casualties there. They held the line.
Ah, you dropped
They
it.
cost.
Matthew, you
They're
dropped it.
retiring the colors. It's nothing worse than having your flag captured by the enemy.
Hey, Johnny.
Carry the colors
What?
is one of the greatest honors. You can't fall into the
I
color
didn't hear
sergeant.
nothing, trooper.
Oh, come on,
Sound like that.
are which run, depending on protecting the personnel as best they can.
Left bad, we're empty.
Now comes the work for all of us. Again, there's graves to be dug. There's those we have to, the wounded we have to tend to. For the most part of the wounded, the assistant surgeons will attempt to keep them alive for 24 hours, getting them back through the surgeon's tent. The surgeon attempts to keep them alive for a week's time. Thus their condition should be stable. They'll have been loaded onto trains and shipped to various cities and towns about to then fully recover in the hospitals thereafter. Usually. Typically what they'll do is they'll take an iron spike and hammer it down the vent hole of the gun. Oh no, it's still firing. Or not. Maybe they have spiked the guns. Well, let us have a moment of silence for the fallen, ladies and gentlemen.